The Virtual Boys have been playing Nintendo since they were little. These many years of experience have made them experts in the field, or at least they think so. Join them this week as they talk about splatting your friends and listening to some cool music. You're listening to the Virtual Boys podcast by Nintendo City. This podcast is done by four friends that talk about anything and everything Nintendo. Check out our website at nintendocity.com and be sure to follow us on your social network of choice. Please be sure to subscribe and share us with your friends. Oh, and please enjoy our show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Boys Podcast, a Nintendo podcast about Nintendo things. This is episode 61. Anyway, I'm your host, David. I gotta say, you smell so much better than the last agent I trained. Joining me today, we've got James.
I could really go for a nice slice of pineapple-free pizza from the future.
We've also got Jordan.
You splatted at 64.
And we've got Skylar.
Crossfade to black.
I wonder if anyone's going to get that crossfade to black reference there, Skylar.
Well, that wasn't the first game, so...
Yeah.
I hope so.
That's
I hope
true.
so.
So,
it's in both.
Jordan, you want to tell us who Adad64 is real quick?
It's my roommate.
Oh. So you just splatted him.
It's something he does very often. Oh! I'm just kidding. That's probably a little bit too far. My bad.
Okay, well, before this goes any further, thanks for joining me today, you guys. And also thanks to you, our listener, for joining us. Always fun to talk Nintendo with you guys. We've got a wonderful episode lined up today. First, we want to hear what James thought about the Symphony of the Goddesses, since he went and attended that event, I think this week, right?
Yeah, over the weekend, I did.
Okay, cool. And then after that, we'll give our audio review of Splatoon 2. Now, real quick, our last episode, episode 60, was about Splatoon 2, but it was more about the Splatfest that came out before the game. The game has now officially come out. All four of us have gotten it, and we are ready to talk about it and review it. So, before we start, I just want to remind you to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Nintensity, because these episodes are going up early, even though I was a little late last week. Yeah, I ended up working a lot more than I thought I would, but anyway, we've got some good rewards coming, so stay tuned for that. All right, let's go straight into Symphony of the Goddesses. James, why don't you tell us what the Symphony of the Goddesses was like?
Well, I'm really glad I went, and I think it's an experience that every Zelda fan should take the time to go see. It's definitely worth the money you'll pay, and you probably want to get inside, because at least the venue that I was seeing at, there was outside as well, but it's just so much better to see the orchestra performing and be somewhat indoors while it's raining outside. I feel bad for those people.
In Utah, we didn't have the outdoor option. It was all inside.
Oh, so, and what was the cheapest seat for you guys? Do you remember?
Just the balcony up above. So it was a multi-tiered room.
I mean, I was like in a balcony like thing too, but you had to pay like $10 more than if you were to sit outside. But it ended up being worth it because of that rain. But anyway, going into the actual concert, it's phenomenal how much Zelda music it really moves me. That first song, I mean, all the Zelda music is phenomenal. But when they were weaving them all together, it's like, I think it was like the 25th anniversary theme or whatever. They weaved them all together, and they added Breath of the Wild in there. And so when they had the Twilight Princess and the Breath of the Wild parts, I just started crying, like just bawling. Like, I mean, not like sad or anything like that, but I couldn't help myself from crying.
You were just so moved by the whole experience.
That's the good stuff right there. Not as moved to like it was definitely. I felt very happy about it, and it brought a lot of memories back. And it was kind of like it was kind of hard to beat that moment. And so going through the rest of the program, it was great to see or to listen to a lot of the songs, but it was really hard to beat that first song, that feeling that I had.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure the same thing was it was the same for Jordan or not, but
Oh, it was a magical night. I've been twice to it.
oh
The second time wasn't as good as the first one, but yeah, we didn't get Breath of the Wild though in ours. I'm really interested in seeing how that went along.
So my thing about Breath of the Wild is I feel like the main theme that they had like in the trailer, I think it plays better in game than it does excuse me, sorry, let me rephrase that. It sounds better in game than it does at the orchestra, oddly enough. I don't know why that is, but just some of the instruments don't quite fit. But there were moments that sounded great, but I think I prefer the version that's in the game. However, at the very end they showed off a Goron city theme medley where medley, but it was from Breath of the Wild, but it started off with a little bit of that theme and then it went into Goron city theme, and then they did Razzle Dazzle, and it kind of did an overcompassing Breath of the Wild main theme. So it was interesting to see that take on Goron City, the kind of the song that I wasn't the most not happy about, but wasn't the most moved by when playing Breath of the Wild. But they took that song and made it a lot more enjoyable and really, really nice. So if they do more stuff like that in the future with a lot of Breath of the Wild music, I think that it'd be the concert would be that much better. But anyway,
I'm surprised that they already had Breath of the Wild in there since it's only been out for a few months, and so it wasn't
That's
just
true.
the trailer music either. Because I
That's
know the first time I went, they didn't even have A Link Between Worlds in yet, and The Link Between Worlds at that point had been out for a full year.
Oh, wow.
But in the second time, they had A Link Between Worlds.
Yeah, they had Link Between Worlds. For me too.
That's really cool. I love visiting symphonies live, and I imagine that it was absolutely fantastic to listen to Zelda music. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Zelda music, as I'm sure all three of you guys are too. So I should definitely buy tickets and get onto this. So
yeah,
it's coming to Utah again this year in December.
Got to get on that.
Yeah, you really need to. One thing that I didn't like was part of the merchandise that they were selling. They didn't sell CDs of the symphony, which I felt like would have been a great souvenir to have. I bought a T-shirt. I didn't buy a poster, but I did buy a broshure. Or
I don't think they want people uploading it online.
I guess that was like the only reason I saw, but like Skylar said, it's a missed opportunity. Like
they could have made some easy revenue off of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one thing, because I lost my 25th anniversary CD that came with Skyward Sword. I was so upset. But
I don't think any of the songs on the 25th anniversary from Skyward Sword are actually in Symphony of the Goddess anymore. They've all been changed since then.
Yeah, I think there was like...
I think the Twilight Princess movement is like the only one that's still...
Twilight Princess, and they played the Wind Waker one.
Well, but they had to change the Wind Waker one to include Mulgera, because they forgot that in the original CD.
Ah, that's true. So yeah, so it's not exactly... Well, so that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously their concert has changed, and it'd be great to have this year's CD or something like that. And sure, people will upload it online, I guess. It's just... It's different having it online, and then versus going to see them live. It's so different that I don't think it...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It matters, to be honest.
Yeah, they'd still sell a crazy amount of tickets for these things. They have been ever since they started the whole the whole tour. So
Right. So I don't know. I don't agree with them not having a CD. I think it's a missed opportunity. But anyway, that was pretty much my biggest gripe with the whole thing in general. But
Have we already
still
passed the
very
30th
pleasing.
anniversary for Zelda? Like, has this been going on for 5 years now?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
yeah, this year was the 30th, wasn't it?
No, I think
Yeah.
it was last year.
Last year's
It was.
30th.
Yeah, it was February 21st, 2016. That was
Yeah.
that was 20 years since the original game was released in
30.
Japan.
30, I think.
Yeah, 30. That's what I meant. So that's incredible. They've been doing this for so long. I love
Yep.
Zelda music. I'll definitely include something cool in between this portion and the next portion of the of our segments. But so just a quick rundown. Like 10 out of 10 would recommend, or what? What would you guys say?
Definitely recommend. Even for people who aren't fans of Zelda itself, I think you can find a lot of enjoyment in the music. There is a bit of repetitivity in this, if that's a word. That I think could be a little boring for some people if they're not fans of these games. But it's still wonderfully beautiful music, and like I said, it moved me, and it really brought back a lot of memories for myself. So I'd say go and see it, no matter the. Well, I mean, for as cheap as you probably can get while you're still inside.
Yeah, how
I don't
much
think
was
you
it?
really. Oh, for
How much
me
was
it
it
was.
for you?
Yeah, for me it was $45.
Oof. Yeah, it's 36 here.
Yeah, everything on the East Coast is a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
To sit outside, it was $35. But like I said, I wasn't gonna risk the rain. Oh,
Yeah.
one more cool thing I forgot to mention is that so we had the rain, right? Well, there was a thunderstorm going. It was a thunderstorm actually, and so during like some of the the like epic parts of the music, you had like the thunder like cue in at the time. It's like. Dun, 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 dun. It's like, oh, wow! Did they plan that?
They did it on purpose. It fits. That's
So
really
it was-
cool.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry.
Oh no.
That's my review of it all.
My favorite game to play at these Symphony of the Goddess events is to try and find the oldest couple there who clearly has no idea what Zelda is. They just go to like all the Symphony like events or whatever, no matter what they are. Symphony of the Goddesses, that sounds like a good concert. And then
Probably
they
do
come and
religious music.
then they find all these nerds walking around in like Zelda costumes and stuff.
They're like, I don't know if this. Then they see some guy in a fairy like Navi outfit.
Some guy walking around like Tingle.
That would really scare somebody.
Well, he already does in Breath of the Wild, so of course he'd scare people out
Exactly.
here. So,
Yeah.
well, awesome. Thanks for the review. I'll definitely check it out if I can go. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Well, let's move on to our Splatoon 2 audio review. Now, real quick, I just want to say one of our first ever episodes of this podcast, clear back in 2015, was about Splatoon. I mean, we talked about some remakes for games, like some HD remakes and some news that honestly doesn't really matter anymore. And I decided to take a quick listen before I recorded just to kind of see what we thought of the original Splatoon back when it came out, because the game launched in May and we recorded that episode in August, so we had a few months to digest it. If you, our listeners, want to hear it now and hear how far we've come, because honestly the audio is garbage. The discussion's still good, but the audio is garbage. Go to nintendo.city/EP3. Seriously, we have come a long, long way. Another fun thing is in that episode, we talked about Splatoon 2 being a launch title for the NX, which, is the Switch now.
Hey, we were
yeah.
correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Clear back then, it was like, so Skylar actually mentioned that. He's like, yeah, Splatoon 2 is going to be a launch title for the NX. And lo and behold, it came out only 4 or 5 months after the Switch came out. So launch year is still basically a launch title.
Yeah.
Good job, Skylar.
Now, in that episode, we had some varying opinions about the game, and we have some varying opinions about this one. So let's go ahead and just jump in. I want to start with story mode, because we can get the most conflicting part of our review over with, because we've talked about story mode on our Discord server, which you can join by going to nintendo.city/discord. We had quite a bit of discussion, the four of us, on what we wanted, what we hoped for, and what we ended up getting. So based on those chats, I've kind of divided us into two groups. It was team in favor of story mode, which is myself and Skylar, and team against, which is James and Jordan. Now, I know there are varying degrees within both. Like, we don't love everything and we don't hate everything. So,
I think team against story mode is a bad name for it, because I don't think James or I are against the idea of a story mode. We're just underwhelmed with what we got.
That's what I meant with team against. You're against what we have. Like, not necessarily like against having a story mode in particular. Yes, I should have changed the words, but yeah. I want Skylar to go ahead and start off by mentioning how much he liked the story mode and what worked for him. So go ahead, Skylar.
Well, I'm never going to discourage a story mode. I think it's a single player campaign. I like it a lot. It's a platformer. I like platformers. That's all you pretty much need to know. I played through it all 9 times with all 9 weapons. So got all of the hero weapons with each one. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. I can kind of see where some people are coming from, expecting it to be a third-person shooter the whole time, but Splatoon's a little bit more different than just a normal third-person shooter. Kind of always has been. And it teaches you the ropes, gets you, feeling comfortable with the game. It was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really did like how they had so many different weapons in there that you could basically learn every type of weapon within the story mode itself. I mean,
some of the chapters are not built for those other weapons very well.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Some of them aren't even built for the weapons they require you to use very well.
Well, yeah, you're right. Like, some of the stages, the hardest weapon to use on the stage is the one they give you.
Yeah, I just went through a sniper level and it was a nightmare. It took 20
those are
minutes
my
to get
least.
through.
Those are my least favorite levels by far. I am not
So
good
slow.
with chargers.
Yeah, chargers are hard because it takes the time to charge them up, and that's really the only way to kill anything. So,
well, I forgot what level was, like 17, 18. It's one of those the 4th area. And they had this level where it was a charger level, and they throw you in this small quarter area where there's enemies all around you. It's like, I need a melee weapon for this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would you do this?
yeah, I mean, it's rough. I really did like it, though. I mean, I just finished beating the boss because I had been playing through a whole bunch of the weapons and just exploring, getting all of the sunken scrolls and such. I really liked it. But Jordan, why don't you tell us why you didn't really like it?
Well, I enjoy it. It's just that it's kind of underwhelming. I feel it's a bit mediocre. I was going in... So with Splatoon 1, I can't remember what I said in the podcast, but the story wasn't enough to keep my attention on Splatoon 1 for very long. And without couch co-op multiplayer, or even, it was kind of hard to keep even the multiplayer was hard to keep my attention on Splatoon 1 for very long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping that they would revamp the story mode be a bit more. All they did was they doubled the length of the levels, and it doesn't feel that much different than Splatoon 1. It feels like the exact same thing, except with a few tweaks, just additional levels, essentially. And I really wanted to see, like, a Splatoon world, who are the octopus people, and all that stuff, an actual story, stuff to actually care about instead of just these dinky little tiny puzzles on floating blocks above a generic background.
Kind of felt like Mario Sunshine levels to me. In how they
Actually,
placed
that
them.
I had that exact thought. In some of the later levels, they've got the dark backgrounds with like even train tracks running around, and I'm like, huh, this feels a lot like Sunshine. So
But yeah, I mean, it is EAD Tokyo, so
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I agree with you, Jordan, because that's what I really wanted from this was a story mode that was similar to other shooter games I've played.
Yeah.
I understand Splatoon is different. Splatoon is very much a project that is it's Nintendo's baby. That they looked at the shooting franchise or shooting genre, were like, okay, we want to have our own unique property here that's our take on it, and we're going to be unique. But I still think I wanted that experience that I would get from playing like an old Call of Duty game where I had an amazing story. Well, amazing to you, guy, like an engaging story.
Yeah, amazing's not the right word for Call of Duty.
Right. I meant engaging.
Now,
and there's other shooters games like that. So
Yeah.
I and that's what I wanted. I just wanted to see the world of Splatoon,
Yeah.
because the Splatoon has so much this interesting lore and history behind it that don't you want to see what Inkopolis is all about? Not just the hub worlds, but what's going on in the rest of the world right now? Can we see little bits and pieces of that besides the Octarian lair or whatever? The platforming's fine, but I think it just really lacks a story.
Like platforming on top of like skyscrapers and stuff of Inkopolis or something, and then have like the next area be something else.
Exactly. I really think you could have the platforming. You could either separate it into two separate single-player modes. Like you have like the platforming in order to introduce you to a lot of the weapons and stuff like that. Keep that. Obviously, they wouldn't have as much levels, so that'd be sad. But you keep that, and then you have a story mode where there's an actual story. Whereas with Splatoon 1, I feel like it was very superfluous. It wasn't really needed, but it was just there to show you how to play the game. And then there was a little thing with Captain Cuttlefish and Callie and Marie, but Splatoon 2 story, it does go a little further, and it does like try to play off what Splatoon did, but I just don't think it's interesting enough. I don't think it's there enough. That's
interesting because I thought the first game had more story elements than this one. With all the sunken scrolls and everything.
I actually agree with you on that.
They enlightened a little bit more upon the past of Inkopolis and all that stuff. This game, like you said, I kind of got disappointed when finding a sunken scroll because all it was a scrap of paper with some little drawing doodad on it, and it wasn't exactly anything to do with Inkopolis as much.
Yeah, it was more like stuff that was happening currently and why people were like opening the shops that they were. There was nothing about the past. Like in the first game, they talked about the war that the Inklings had with the Octarians and such. So
yeah. And I miss Captain Cuttlefish.
I was really hoping for a cameo at the end, but
a cameo would have been nice. But I don't know if that's whatever. Whatever. But I like Callie and Marie. They're good, I guess.
Yeah. But James, I have to say, your opinion hasn't changed at all. Like, you said basically the same things 2 years ago about Splatoon 1 that you just said. Like, even talking about what you wanted in Splatoon 2. Like, having a better story, exactly the same points that you're saying. But instead of Call of Duty, you talked about Halo and how you wanted a story more like Halo.
Well, I've realized... Well, no,
it was the better story of the two, anyway.
I've realized that Halo.
Don't understand it.
Halo is a complicated story, but it's actually quite interesting. I actually like the universe behind it. I had someone explain it because I haven't played all the games, but I had someone explain to me like the whole Halo universe, and it's quite interesting. I guess he went into books and stuff like that. Anyway,
read the books.
Yeah. So I guess the reason why I would have brought up Halo at the time was because I felt like Splatoon could get as good, or could get kind a little deeper than like a Call of Duty game. But after this game, it's like, well, can you at least try to compare it to Call of Duty when it comes to story mode? I mean, not the present Call of Duty, like talk about Modern Warfare or even previous installments. But anyway, but yeah, old self, you have good taste and opinions. Nothing's changed, unfortunately. But a lot of things have changed for good in Splatoon 2, but the story mode, not so much. It's not to say I don't like story mode, or I don't like the single player campaign. It's a lot of fun. The platforming is fun. And I actually think a lot of the designs are very pleasing to look at, a lot more so than the first game. And
Yeah,
it has to do with the 1080p and 60 frames per second as well. But I think there's just a lot more life into the background and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I like what they do with the weapons. I mean, like I said, not all the weapons work, but it's still fun to go back and try to beat them with the weapons, even though it can be super frustrating at times.
Fourth world boss. That's all I have to say. Screw that boss. Like, with every other weapon but the one they start you out with, it is a nightmare.
Yeah.
That boss freaking sucks with anything else.
Yeah.
Well, I'm about to get there.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Even the weapon they give you at the beginning, it's pretty rough. So,
Yeah, it took me quite a while to take him out the first time, and that's with the best weapon for the boss.
exactly.
Yikes.
But
There was one round that took me like 10 or 12 minutes to take him out.
yeah.
I was like, this is stupid. This is one of the worst fights I've ever fought.
Sheldon, why do you need so much data?
Well, clearly this weapon doesn't work. Data acquired.
Yeah. So, speaking of boss battles, Skylar, 2 years ago, you loved the final boss battle. You mentioned that it was probably like one of your all-time favorite final boss fights, like, period. How does this one compare? Without bringing up spoilers or anything, how does this one compare?
It's not as good.
I agree.
I don't think it's as good. The final boss in this game is all smoke and mirrors. It's all flashbang and no substance really.
Yeah, I was thinking like it's a lot like the boss fights in the previous sectors, where it's like just a big circular area and you just kind of take him out and whatnot. In the original Splatoon, you had to do some platforming. You had to push him back. You had to like get to the end of a level while fighting a boss, and that design was just phenomenal. And I feel like this final boss wasn't quite as good.
Yeah, the final boss I wasn't very happy with. I was really looking forward to it because of the first game's final boss.
Yeah, same.
It was building up all this hype, and then I play it, and the music's not as good. The stage isn't as good. I was super disappointed, but
Yeah.
that was a really big letdown. Just for me personally, it's okay, but it's freaking easy.
Yeah.
So easy compared to the first game.
Yeah, that first one could be rough. Or the first boss could be rough.
Yeah.
Oof. Or excuse me, the first final boss. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what made it fun, though. It felt like an actual
yeah.
challenge instead of
Totally.
this.
And
It's
then-
like just a light show, basically.
Didn't they have amiibo challenges for that final boss too? I'm trying to
Uh-huh.
remember. Like you had
They
to do
had
it with the
amiibo.
charger.
The charger and the roller.
Oh yeah, both, and that was fun. The charger was hard with his
The
fists coming at you.
The amiibo were a lot more useful in the first game, too. They actually
Yeah.
unlocked 2 more challenges.
Yeah, which I kind of miss that. I mean, just talking about the amiibo. It's cool that these amiibo straight up unlock new gear for you and such, but I really miss that whole
Oh.
selection of challenges.
They kind of straight up unlock it for you.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
level up and such and
Yeah.
talk to them at different times, but
Right.
at least I don't need to buy all 3 sets of the Splatoon amiibo to get the gear.
You have to buy the new set, the old set, and Callie and Mari.
I thought the new set and the old set were the same. They gave you
Nope.
the same gear.
They do
No,
not.
I don't
Oh.
think they do.
Darn it, I have to buy the new set now. I love
have
the
to
new
buy
set. They look good.
You have to buy the new set. Well, if you want the squid on Amazon, it's $38 right now.
Oh, jeez.
Ugh.
Nintendo, start stocking your amiibos.
What the heck,
For
Nintendo?
reals.
Well, did you guys see their quarterly report that came out this morning? They have like $1.4 trillion in the bank, or $1 billion in the bank, just ready to use for whatever. Like,
Only 1.4 billion?
yeah, I mean, compared to like 2 years ago, that's a huge amount of money for them.
I thought they had more than that. Huh.
I might be wrong, but anyway, they're doing so well right now, and if they would just stock their amiibo and stock their Switches, they would make more money. They really would.
Yeah. Too bad they're fighting with Apple for parts.
Yeah.
I did hear that. I don't
Kinda
know where
losing out on that
I
one, though.
heard that from, but I did
The
hear
past
that.
3 times I've been to GameStop, the lady keeps telling me the same thing.
Competing
It's
with
like
apples
they're-
on parts, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't-
memory chip.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
They use the same part that Apple uses for their iPhones.
And, you know, Apple's getting ready to ship out the iPhone 8 or whatever the next one is because it's the big anniversary one. So, oh well. Anyway, so I guess that's our discussion on the single-player campaign and I guess the Amiibo. I do agree with James and Jordan. I would have loved to have seen more of Inkopolis and more of the world as it is, but I was really satisfied with what I got, so... But that's my opinion.
I was extremely satisfied with the content. There was a lot there.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff to do.
Hey everybody, it's your friend David, just hopping in the middle of the episode like I usually do for a commercial break. Except we still don't have any sponsors, so that's okay. I'll just talk for a few minutes about some of the stuff that's going on at the website and with the podcast. This is episode 61 of the podcast, and of course you can find the show notes at ninten.city/EP61. There you'll find lots of information about how we made this episode, some information about the timestamps, the music that we've put into this show, as well as some of our general thoughts about the episode, plus a lot of links to some of our articles that go hand in hand with the content that we talk about. Going to those show notes and then sharing those show notes is one great way that you can help this show grow. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to continue doing this podcast. We don't spend any money on advertising because, well, we don't have the funds, and so word of mouth is the best way for you to help us grow and for us to continue doing these things that we love. I want to direct your attention to our Twitter profile, which is at Nintensity, and also at virtual_boys. Both of those accounts are pretty much live, and each are for the respective parts of our website. We're looking for some social media managers. If you want to post pictures to our Facebook account or our Google Plus account or whatever, feel free to send me an email. You can send us an email at contact@nintensity.com. And be sure you put in the title something like social media manager position or something like that. We'd love to have you join the team and help keep our Facebook page alive or our Google Plus page alive so that we can get more content and show people the fun side of the Nintendo community. We'd ask you to check out our website at intensity.com as well. While there, you can find some cool reviews, some cool opinion articles, as well as lots and lots and lots of news. We've been trying to post some of the best news, like new game announcements lately, as well as some new hardware and game reviews and other such things. And we're, working on that. If you want to come help us write news, send us an email at contact@intensity.com with news correspondent or news position in the subject line, and we'll take a look. Just be sure to include a 200-word sample post so that I can see your style of writing. I know it's a lot to ask, but we could really use some help with these volunteer positions so that we can help our website grow and build an even better community based around Nintendo and the whole Nintendo City idea that Nintensity is going for. Just as a final reminder, you can tweet about the show using #virtualcast. That's pretty much all I've got for today. Just a quick shout out to our patrons again. If you want to help them support the show and get early access to these episodes as well as some other cool bonuses, go to patreon.com/Nintensity. I know we keep asking about this a lot, but this is the commercial break and I can talk about it for a few minutes. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us for this Zelda Symphony of the Goddesses and Splatoon 2 episode. The next episode will be up next Monday, as always. Thank you so much, and we'll let you get back to the episode, I guess. Let's move on to the best new mode in Splatoon 2, which is Salmon Run. We didn't get a chance to play this before the game launched, and now that it's out, it's freaking awesome to play.
It's not just the best new mode, it's the best mode.
I still like Turf Wars and the other ranked battles quite a lot. I'll probably have a more definitive answer on which one's my favorite later, but it's really good.
I think Salmon Run's my favorite, like hands down. Turf Wars is fun, but Salmon Run is like, I don't know, it's my kind of mode. I don't know what it is. It's less competitive, or
you're fighting a whole bunch of like monsters, and there's hordes everywhere, and it's cooperative. You can play. You really gotta work like a team more.
Yeah.
Call of Duty Zombies,
basically.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Maybe because that competitiveness is taken out. I mean, obviously you're trying to beat the horde, kill the zombies, but it's I don't know. I don't feel as much pressure, especially if I do bad, per se. It's like, we lost because of you. You know that, right? It's like, more like where here in Salmon Run, it's more like I didn't lose because of me per se. It's we're working as a team to do this. Now, I'm not saying I'm always the reason why my team loses. I'm not saying that at all. But I don't know. I do feel like there's a little less stress a little less stress between players and more focused on let's get this done together. And I like that.
I like it because I get to kill more things more often.
Yeah.
That's true too.
You can kill so many enemies. They just come rushing at you, the little ones. Then you have the bosses, and it's a lot of fun. Like, I've played online with a few of my friends now, and I've played against randos, and both modes are just really, really fun.
If only it would be open all the time.
Yeah. I did want to talk about that. Like, that's the most frustrating thing about it is it's only open every so often, and you have to check the schedule.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
I wonder why they're doing that. Is it?
I think they're worried that there wasn't enough people playing Splatoon 2, that they would get rooms firing as often as they do, and so they throttled the amount of opportunities you have to play the game to
that makes sense.
Increase demand. But I don't think they needed to do that. I think everyone loved it enough that there'd be enough demand. They'd be firing games nonstop from release till now if it was open all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. Another thought that I had was the rewards are really good for the
well, then just make the rewards the special event.
Right, and that was another thought that I had. They could just... Yeah.
Good point.
Do like a Splatfest type thing with the Salmon Run where, hey, guess what? This week we've got this amazing item in stock and get this many points or whatever, and then you can get it. They could have done that, yeah. Man, come on, Nintendo, listen to us.
I think I'd be more fine with them taking out the mode if they replaced it with another mode of some sort.
Yeah, if it was a rotating thing.
Yeah, but to just like remove features from the game, it's irksome.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people have issues with that. They're just, straight up, why are they removing content as we play the game? It doesn't make sense to a lot of people, and I totally agree. I wish I could play it all the time, but I guess I need to get 4 Switches in my house and just make all my siblings play with me.
Well, like yesterday, it was open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Screw you, people with jobs. Like,
me.
At least make it 24-hour periods.
Or even just noon to midnight or something. Like, even if it just covers the afternoon. But yeah, 24 hours would be definitely ideal. But if
I think the next one is 24 hours, but then I think the one after that is going back to like a You know.
Well, during the weekend, there's a lot more open time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get to play it yesterday except for one round with David.
Yeah. And that was
Nice.
Yeah,
fun.
I was
We
at work.
annihilated it.
Yeah.
The only thing
Yeah.
I've played of it so far is just the tutorial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't really gotten to play anything else but that. I've been at work most of the time, so.
So
Well,
luckily, you don't need a full set of 4 people to do the
No, you
couch
don't.
co-op. You can do it with 2 people.
Oh, maybe me and Mason can do it sometime.
Yeah, because
Isn't it a lot harder?
Oh, it's
Oh, yeah.
way harder because it's geared for 4 people, and you're playing with just 2. And Adam and I have been doing it, and we can't get over like 20% difficulty.
Oh my gosh, are you
with just 2
kidding?
people. Yeah,
I love how hard it is.
Yeah,
Like,
it gets.
It can be frustrating, but at the same time, it's like, man, when you get the last wave, get through the last wave. I remember like one of the matches I had. At the last second, I put the last egg in, and we beat the wave. It's like, oh my gosh, thank goodness! But it was just so like relieving. I really liked it.
Have you guys played it with the when it's dark and the fireflies surround you?
yeah, and
That-
everyone's running fast,
Yeah.
double
And-
spinning or whatever.
Yeah, that
We
happened
got
to me
something like
once.
20 eggs or whatever when we did that.
Yeah, you can get a
Nice.
ton through that because only the medium-sized salmon, they carry them because they're glowing. But if you get touched by those fireflies and they follow you around, everyone hordes to you. Like that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why you can die. Like my team was annihilated by having one of those as our final wave. Like I got hit with the fireflies and then I just got wrecked, and the fireflies moved to the next person on my team and they just got wiped out, and it just went through all 4 of us. I'm like, oh, okay, now I know to either avoid the fireflies, or if I've got them, just keep splatting all the stuff that's come after me.
Yeah, we had to go dark and the water rose to like the top level, so it was a small map.
Yeah, I had the same thing one time. It's crazy. Salmon Run is so fun. Good work, Nintendo. That was a good.
Just let us play it.
Yeah.
I am a testament to the fact I've never played it really, so.
We'll have to change that, Skylar. When it's up, we'll make a room or something.
Yeah, if I'm not at work, that would be great.
Maybe this
Well, I
weekend. We'll see
think
what ends up happening.
Tomorrow it should be open from 12 to 12, so we
Yeah,
can do it tomorrow
that's the one.
evening.
Oh,
but
that's good.
yeah.
Well, cool. Salmon Run's awesome. If you haven't played the mode yet, definitely try and figure out a time to play it. That's talking to you, our lovely listeners. Well, we've already talked a whole lot about some of the mechanics and some of the things that we've seen changed between the versions. We've talked about Splatoon 2, I think in like 3 different episodes now of the podcast, just based off of the Splat test, the directs, I don't know, well, all the other stuff that we've been doing. And so I just want to do some quick general remarks from us, especially talking about things like the multiplayer modes and the new weapons, the new specials and stuff. So how about we just talk about the online multiplayer? Have you guys had any issues with connectivity or anything like that?
I had one, and only one, and so I'm surprised it's actually working pretty well. The one problem I had was it was waiting for the queue for all 8 players, and it got all 8 players in, but it was still waiting for more players to join. But no more players could join because we already had 8 players.
Yeah,
So
I had that happen to me once too.
So we had to sit and wait for the full 150 seconds before it would boot us out so we could try again. But other
Yeah.
than that, it's been fine.
That was one issue that I had, and then there was one time where it threw me into a game and I was by myself.
Yeah, that happened to me
No
too.
one else was there. I'm like, empty room, free points.
Everybody
So-
else just quit.
So yeah, they're like, "Oh, David's here! Quit, everybody, quit! We can't beat him." No. So for me, the only issues I've had have been my own because of my internet. The servers have worked really well for me. Besides that, but when it hasn't worked because of the internet, I have had that where it sends me to the map, but I'm like the only one there. Everyone gets there, and then they all poof away. And so for like a whole minute, I was just covering the turf. I was like, oh man, I'm going to cover everything. Don't worry, guys. I got this. Team peak for the gold. And then it was like what are you doing in here? And he kicked me out. I was like, oh, sorry. I was having fun. Excuse me.
I think my favorite game last night was when Skylar, Adam, and I were playing, and to put the three of us on the same team, and we were fighting. It was a really hard battle, but we were able to win, and we found out that our fourth player wasn't in the game.
Yeah. We had a 3v4.
What was your weapon composition? Like, what were you guys playing?
I play the arrow spray.
Okay.
What are playing the Splattershot hero.
That's a good one.
And Adam does the splat roller.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty balanced team for just three of you. That's good. That reminds me. What's your favorite weapon to play with?
The arrow spray.
Right, the arrow spray. What about you, James?
Me, I suck at all of them. So yeah, no. I tend to do the splatter shot. Yeah, and I just switch between kinds. Like the NES Zapper is really nice.
Oh, Zapper's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but the dualies have been a nice addition, and they're nice. Once you get used to rolling instead of jumping. Yeah, it's nice.
It's so funny with some of the rollers too, because they like roll, think they dodge something, and they just twist over and bap. It's really funny because what's nice about the hero shot or the splatter shot with the hero or whatever is that 3 hits they're dead. So
that is nice.
It doesn't matter who it is, just bop boom dead. It's gone. But there's so many good weapons in this game.
Yeah.
Mine's more about like the alternates or the subs, just because I feel like all the main weapons they're pretty similar to some degree. I mean, sure, some shoot faster, some hit harder, but I haven't found the supers that good in this time around. Or
yeah, they're not as game changing as they were in the first one.
Yeah. Which, I mean,
exactly.
it's a good and bad thing. It just doesn't make me feel as much of a,
Yeah.
as awesome.
I personally try to avoid even using the supers because I was showing Skylar and James last night. You can just, like, if you see someone about to do their super, there's a brief moment where they're completely vulnerable and you can kill them.
Yeah.
All the time. And so I just run around sniping people that are about to do their super or just barely got off their super and they're going through a recharge period.
The people with jetpacks, man.
Oh yeah, the jetpack one. The one where they jump up and down and do the big like wave.
Splashdown.
Yeah, that one's easy to dodge. You just dodge out of the way and then shoot them and they die.
Right, exactly.
You know exactly where they're going to be.
Yeah, both of those can be very vulnerable. I mean, sure, you can get killed by them, but you can shoot them out of the sky or get them when they come back down. It's not that hard. But I guess that's what they were going for.
The ink shield or whatever it's called, the ink armor.
Yeah,
that's probably the most broken out of all of them.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's my favorite to use. Like my favorite weapon set is the NES Zapper, the default one, because it has the ink shield and it has the suction bombs. And that combo has been phenomenal for me because I run out of ink. I'm like splatting people with the bombs left and right. And then when my special's full, I use the special. I get a full charge of ink and my team can go rush into the battle and have just a little bit more protection. And it's worked really well.
That one's really powerful. I wish they would nerf it so that it didn't give it to your teammates. It was just to you. I think that
interesting. Okay, so I've had a different experience with this shield because I've played with the NES Zapper, and honestly, I wish I had a different super because that shield I feel like it's just so easily broken. When I play against someone, or when someone uses the shield, I break it. I can break it in a couple hits or one hit or whatever it is, and it's not that big of a deal. So I don't know. I've never. Maybe I've just never played anybody who's used it well enough. I don't know. But
I think it's best used in coordination with your teammates, where you can just say, "Hey, I'm throwing up my shield. Let's rush them. Let's get in there. We have a couple of extra hits to take them out." So
if only the voice chat wasn't garbage in this game.
Yeah. If the 4 of us play, we're gonna have to create a room and then just use Discord.
Well, that's what we did last night.
Yeah,
we were trying to get the app working. We spent a good 20 minutes on it, then we just gave up.
You have to have 8 players in your own private match to use it.
Oh, gross.
And you can't be like, all right, well, we'll just have a voice chat room open
Well,
on
you know
the
what?
app and then be playing normally.
I've seen people like 3 people play each other before. Like someone was testing out the voice chat and they just had 3 people.
Well, yeah, you can play with just 3 people. It's just that,
Like at 2-on-1.
yeah, it's not as good.
Not ideal.
The one
Maybe we could
the
get
one
2 on
almost
2
beat
or
him.
3 on
but-
3, but
Yeah. Anyway, oh, I forgot what I was saying. I feel like that's the weakest super in my mind is the shield. Even with that, like, let's charge kind of a thing. Like, I'm easily able to break those shields. It's not that big, and I think that goes back to what Skylar was saying is that these supers aren't that super. Like they can be special and stuff like that, but it's just not as game changing and for better or for worse. I still like them. I think my favorite one is probably the tactile missiles. Is that what it's called? No, what is it? Tentacle missiles? Whatever it's called, the the rocket launcher. I really like that one. Although those are easy to dodge too, so there you go.
So yeah, I do think that the specials are definitely a lot weaker than they were in the first game. But whatever. It definitely makes it so that you have to be more precise with your weapon choice and your sub-weapon choice and be able to pick out when people are going to do things. Which I actually like that because it requires a lot more skill than just here comes an ink strike or whatever. I mean,
That's true.
I definitely miss those items and those weapons, but yeah, that's how I feel
That's
about
true.
that.
Yeah.
Let's see. How about some final remarks about the game, like just whether or not you like it or not, and then we can do scores to finish off. Since we're approaching an hour, I mean, this episode might end just a little bit under an hour, but I think that's okay.
well, should we give the review or the review score with our marks?
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that.
Well, so for me, I wanted it to be a bit more than just Splatoon 1. I don't think it really delivered on that. It improved the multiplayer, but the multiplayer was already the part that was like the strong core part of Splatoon. And we needed more couch co-op play, more single-player play. They did improve on the couch co-op play, but that wasn't really the Splatoon doing that. It was just the nature of the Switch being more available for people, like for me and my roommate to both be playing in the same room. Like, just having the Switch for Splatoon, it works way better than Splatoon 1, because I can actually play with him. Versus with Splatoon 1, I was just playing with randos online over and over again until I got bored. I think I would probably review it higher than I'm about to if Nintendo were to fix a few things. One, make Salmon Run available all the time. Don't limit my availability to the full access to my full access to the game, except for when like servers need to be updated and all that stuff, obviously. And give me voice chat options that doesn't require the phone. Don't have my smartphone app like required to play this game. That drives me absolutely insane. So I'm going to say, and since like the single player was a bit underwhelming, it's still fun. I really enjoy it. I think the multiplayer has been more refined than Splatoon 1. It's a lot more engaging. It's kept my attention a lot longer. I've probably put in like this week, probably 30 hours so far into the game, whereas a Splatoon 1 I probably put 10. So it's already a better game than the first Splatoon for me. And it's also just in nature of being more engaging to me because with the multiplayer maps, they made the maps smaller. So you actually engage with other players a lot more often, and then there's a lot more combat involved. And that's something that's a bit more appealing to me.
I think the one that doesn't do that is the Humpback Pump Track.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a few maps.
Yeah,
That's
that
my
one
favorite
is
one.
so freaking big.
I love that one.
I like the Zelda 2 stage too in Smash Bros.
the
love that
temple
stage.
is just huge.
Yeah, it's freaking huge. I hate huge stages. They're not as engaging.
So I'm going to give it a score of a 6. That's above average for me because I view 5 as average. And if they were to fix voice chat and give me Salmon Run so I can play with Adam more often on it with randos, so that we're actually like doing it with 4 people and not just getting slaughtered in 2Vs or 2-player Salmon Run. I might bump that up to a 7, but as of now, it's a 6.
Well, okay, that's still a good score. From you, that's pretty darn good. Skylar, what would you give the game, and what are some of your final thoughts?
I'd probably give it about an 8.3 personally. I think it's fun. It's not as impactful as it was the first game to me. I think the first game made a bigger impression. The music I'm not as big a fan on, because it's more pop than rock, and the last game was more rock. I like that a little bit more. If they would have had a nice mix in this game, it probably would have been better.
Mm-hmm.
As it stands, I'm not a super big fan of the music. But that's personal taste. The music's fine. It's just personal taste. I like the single player. The multiplayer is fun. I haven't played Salmon Run yet because of times. So
Right.
maybe that would change my opinion, but I'm not too sure about that yet. Yeah, and still have the carbon roller, so we're good.
That's great. How about you, James?
Salmon Run really makes this game for me. There a lot of the multiplayer has been, kind of reworked, sort of. I mean, well, it's more of the same thing, just a little improved upon. But Salmon Run is a new mode, and it's great. And yes, it sucks that it's not playable at all times online, but when I am playing it, I'm having a blast. And so I think they killed it with Salmon Run. Single player, like I said before, it was a little disappointing, and I know they can do something more with it. They have this great world, and I want them to utilize it. But it was still fun, and still entertaining to go through. I just, like I said, I just wish it went a different direction than just trying to be a platformer. Overall, and this is kind of spooky. I've had this score in my mind for a while now, or thinking about a review score, and it's spooky, Skylar. I said 8.3 as well.
Oh boy,
I know, right? It's kind of weird. But are you in my head right now? It's kind of strange.
Yes.
Kindly, I will kindly ask you to leave, please.
Okay, all right, I'm out.
Okay, please.
Didn't want to be there anyway.
No, I think it is better than Splatoon. It is an improvement upon what they did there, but not a huge one.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of sets it back from being a 9 or a fantastic game. It's still great. I love it. But it does feel more like, for example, how some games are just an improvement on what the original was, rather than like a game changer, like going from Skyward Sword to Breath of the Wild. That's a huge step, right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Take kind of, I don't know. Pick a series game, Halo 1 to Halo 2. Well, I guess there's more differences there too. So what I'm saying, like it wasn't a huge difference, but just enough to be definitely considered a sequel.
I like that. That's a good comment. I'll just say what I think. Excuse me. I really, really like this game a lot. I guess I didn't really have crazy high expectations for the game, in that like I wasn't ridiculously freaking out over it, even though I was absolutely excited for it. And when I got it, it was exactly what I hoped it would be. I mean, I didn't notice some of these like flaws, and I forgot some of the things that we talked about the game before, like, actually exploring more of the world and such. And I've had so much fun playing through the game. I've had fun just playing multiplayer. I've had fun buying weapons and all that stuff. Yes, the voice chat is awful. Yes, they should definitely have Salmon Run be way more frequent than it currently is. And all this other stuff, I mean, I agree with all of your statements, but I still would give the game an 8.5 just because I really like it. And for my playstyle, there are very few flaws that keep me from enjoying the game. So that's how I would rate the game, as an 8.5. So yeah, I quickly did an average of our scores since I already knew what I had. And our average as the Virtual Boys is 7.775, which is pretty good. That's well above average. And
Sorry, guys.
is a
If
good
there's
game.
angry pitchforks, lead them my way.
No,
Jordan, you ruin everything.
James and I have been talking the last few weeks about how we want our reviews to be more real. Like, if it's a good score, that means that we really loved it. You know, something above a 7 or an 8 is like, this is a fantastic game and you should get your hands on it. 6 is definitely above average. We want to make sure that you, our listeners, know that we're trying to be realistic with our scores now. We're not just like, oh, it's Zelda, it's a 10 or whatever. No, I mean, Breath of the Wild does deserve a 10 in my mind, but with other games like Splatoon and other games that we're going to be reviewing soon, we want to be real and entertaining at the same time. So if our score isn't as high as some of the other places or other websites and such around the internet, it's just because we're trying to be realistic. So Jordan is definitely the most realistic out of the four of us, I guess. Like, if you think of it that way.
I'm the most pessimistic.
The most
Yeah, that's a better
Right.
word.
I don't think honestly, even if they took Salmon Run out, I don't know if I give the game a 6 in my mind. But hey, that's Jordan, and I'm James.
Maybe if we didn't even know it existed.
Okay.
Go from an 8.3 to a 7.
Yeah, still not a 6.
That's true.
I did say if Nintendo solves the problems I had with it, which they easily could in an update in the future, I would be willing to change that score to a 7.
And you have that right.
They easily could. Nothing stopping them. Maybe in a year we'll.
Well, Nintendo's stopping that.
Oh, that's true. Nintendo's stopping themselves. Wait, I just had a thought. So, in a year, their updates will stop, and then 2 years, Splatfest will stop, right? So, what does that mean for Salmon Run? Are they going to stop doing Salmon Run? I mean,
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Or will they make it like constant, like you can play it whenever now?
Well, I don't know. I'd imagine
Because obviously
it's gonna still happen.
Because I just
if they
wonder
have somebody
because,
scheduling the stages, they'll have somebody that schedules the salmon runs.
Yeah, that makes sense. If they're scheduling the stages, although there's probably some sort of algorithm going on there. Okay, sorry. I thought there was something there, but maybe not. Excuse me.
That's okay. Well, let's hurry and say what our scores were one more time, just so the listeners at home.
They're okay. They already know what I was.
Okay, fine. You can go back like a whole 2 minutes or whatever when we talked about it.
Average 7.7777.
It's 7.775. Excuse me. Anyway,
I thought it was pi.
That's 3.1415926. Anyway,
Something.
Before we blab on, let's go ahead and end the episode. We love Splatoon 2. Go get it. It's great. Before we end the episode, I'd like to thank you, our listeners, for joining us in this episode. Your support means a whole lot. We want to shout out to our patrons, Chris and Chase, for their amazing support, and none of this would be possible without you, our listeners, and without their help as well. If you want to join with them in supporting the podcast, head on over to patreon.com/Nintensity. That's it for this episode of the Virtual Boys podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes. We'd also remind you to check out our website at nintensity.com, where you can find news, show notes, and more. This week's show notes are at ninten.city/EP61. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
See ya.
Goodbye, you good people.